Are you ready to get your feet wet? Because this is the Knowledge Pool, hosted by Gathering Information. We're here to bring you a casual conversation between friends about everything to do with collecting, trading, and playing Magic the Gathering.
I am Tams.
I am Step.
And I am Laura.
So put on your bathing suits and dive right into the Knowledge Pool. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 12 of the Knowledge Pool.
Yes, we are actually shooting this adjacent to the pool in the sauna.
Oh.
Yeah. Ain't that the truth? We suddenly got warm here in Canada. Haha, I know.
It happens
make
twice
your
a year.
jokes. But actually, where we live in southwestern Ontario, it gets quite warm. We are between four lakes, kind of. And so we get humidity.
Lake effect weather.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's we just got our air conditioning working. We have central air, which we can't live without. But we just got it working an hour ago.
So
it's 29 Celsius, which is
hot.
Upper 80s Fahrenheit. And it's so hot.
So it'll come down as soon as we turn off these bloody hot lights.
Like you guys to be doing this. Instead of sitting in front of the squeaky fan.
That's right.
The squeaky fan. Yeah, we even turned the squeaky fan off so it wouldn't affect the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're that nice.
Yeah.
Also, we want you to listen to our podcast and not just shut it off because you can't stand the noise.
That's more of the truth.
Yeah, maybe.
So, hey guys, how's it going?
Other than the heat, it's pretty good.
Do we want to start off with what we've been doing recently?
News.
We could just start with news. There's
Okay.
only a couple of things to talk about. Really quickly, just because none of the three of us are particularly currently impacted.
Okay.
The director of Worldwide Organized Play, Hélène Bergeau, is leaving the company.
That's interesting.
It is. She's been with, I think she started off with Hasbro and then transitioned into her current role. So she's been with them for 20 years. And the interesting part is just that she hasn't let us know yet why.
Now, is she leaving Hasbro or Wizards?
She's leaving the company, her position. She is leaving. So, it could just be that, she's getting to the point where she's cutting back and retiring and partially or fully or whatever, but it could also be that there are major changes coming, or it could be that she found a new position elsewhere. We really don't know. It's just idle speculation. So it's just something kind of interesting to think about and to keep an eye on in case she does actually move on at some point.
The only thing that this sort of rings a bell with or an alarm bell in my head is the news a little while back that is it Channel Fireball is taking over GP coverage for everything.
Well, for the year.
So those two things aren't necessarily connected, but
they're not necessarily distinct.
Yeah.
Since presumably that's organized play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely. Well, okay, it's coverage of organized play and coverage of organized play, so they are probably distinct, but it's interesting. What I thought.
So we'll have
other than that, I don't really.
Yeah, we'll have to see how things go. I mean, obviously someone new will presumably have to transition into the role. I know that Hélène is very well respected and regarded by those who are pretty high up in the Magic community, professional players, that sort of thing. So I imagine it'll be tough to find someone to fill her shoes. And the fact that she's, announcing it now, probably they have some form of plan in place to train that person up, get them to take over, and that sort of thing. So we'll have to see how it goes. Just an interesting note.
So what else? You said a couple of interesting things.
Well, the second one is the fact that the Pro Tour is over.
Oh, of course.
Yes, so the Pro Tour was over the weekend, and the interesting part of it is that Mardu vehicles, despite making up a large percentage of the decks that were played, did not put up a particularly good performance. I mean...
Woohoo! That's terrible.
At least, 50% of it has to be that everybody knew they were going to play lots of Mardu vehicles, so they build sideboards or main deck plans to deal with Mardu vehicles.
Now, everyone cares about the top 8. I'm wondering if they appeared in the top 16 or not. But I don't know how to find that information.
Yeah, Wizards has actually posted a lot of stats on the recent Pro Tour, match... breakdowns and statistics of wins and things like that. Although, of course, it is a very small sample size, so you need to take the stats with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Especially because the decks were built for a very specific meta. So the Pro Tour is really just a weird thing. It won't necessarily apply to your regular F&M crowd or your Games Day crowd or anything like that. So, make sure that when you are building a deck, if you want to take one of the Pro Tour decks and adapt it to your current situation, you'll want to put some thought into what you're actually doing.
I don't know. I'm looking at this white-black zombies list, and it looks pretty sweet.
Yeah, so there were a couple of kind of, the Marvel decks made a pretty strong resurgence. A lot of people said that they are quite good against Mardu, like it's a favorable matchup for the Marvel decks. It's just that they were kind of being held back by Copycat, which is no longer in the format.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm looking now at the Teamer Marvel deck, and it seems, I don't know, too slow for combo, but not too slow for aggro. That seems weird.
Yeah, but turn 4 they can cast an Ulamog if they get the right hit.
Right.
Now, you have the list in front of you.
Yes.
Does it say who piloted them? Because as far as I know, like, Channel Fireball, only Efro made top 8. Everybody else the rest of the team was like down the list somewhere.
I'm looking at the top 8 deck list. This is coming from MTG Goldfish, is the site I'm looking at right now. Mm-hmm. And what deck are you interested in?
I'm just curious, in top 5, who was... Is there any new names that we're seeing? Or?
Yeah, I think there's 1 or 2 people who this was their first Pro Tour.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
And then it was Jerry Thompson who won, I think.
See,
Spoiler alert.
I don't know any of the names because I don't really follow the pros unless they do goofy stuff on videos.
So yeah, there were a bunch of them who have already put up good results, either at Pro Tours or at GPs. And there was one guy, I think, who was it was his first, and he did obviously very well. And then Jerry Thompson, who's a grinder. So, kind of a mix.
So what was he playing?
I believe he
Jerry
was playing
Thompson
Mono Black Zombies,
Yep.
which is one of the breakout decks of the Pro Tour. A couple of people were on it. They did extremely well because it matches up, generally speaking, very well against Mardu vehicles.
So there are 3 zombies lists, 3 Marvel lists, and a green-blue energy list in the top 8, which would be 7. So one of these must be 4. 4 Aetherworks Marvel lists.
Yeah. So, again, the Pro Tour does have its own very specific meta, but it certainly shows that the field is kind of open to new brews.
Mm-hmm.
I find it exciting that what was dominating, one of the decks that was dominating is no longer even being run. Mm-hmm. But the other one isn't in the top 8, and we're seeing new things starting to creep and crawl up.
Well, people knew that it was going to be there in force, so a lot of people were gearing their decks and sideboards specifically towards sniping it.
Like, at the very least, there's no point in bringing a deck if it can't win against the Mardu vehicle deck.
Yeah.
So that was kind of, I think, what we saw there.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
One other thing that I thought was interesting was, I think it was Paulo Vito Damadurosa who was talking specifically about the Black Zombie list. He mentioned that I think it was Reed Duke had posted an article back when the set was first spoiled, before it was actually released, talking about, speculating about a potential mono black zombie deck, which was within 2 cards of the most successful mono black zombie lists at the Pro Tour.
That's really cool.
So Paulo was speaking about the fact that the deck kind of built itself. Like, it was just obvious.
You throw all the zombies in and all of the
basically.
Yeah.
extra stuff.
Even the black-white one, there are 2 mono-black, and there's a black-white, which has Binding Mummy, sure, Wayward Servant, sure, and then Anguished Unmaking.
Sure.
And that's
the white?
That's the white.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bunch more white in the sideboard. There's Declaration in Stone, another Anguished Unmaking, and 4 of Gideon's in the sideboard.
Of course there is.
But
why play white if you're not playing Gideon?
Playing Gideon? The ally, Gideon.
Yes, good Gideon. Best Gideon.
Best Chad?
Best Chad.
Best man Chad?
Yep.
You want to invite him to your wedding?
Yeah.
He brings a couple of dudes.
Yes. Yeah.
And then he turns indestructible and starts smashing people.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds like an angry drunk.
Yeah. So, the other main thing to talk about the Pro Tour is that, once again, there have been major criticisms of the coverage. Specifically, the number of commercials and breaks. And the fact that during the breaks, they don't do anything. They show a timer, and if you're on Twitch and are subscribers, you don't get the ads. They show a countdown and maybe play some music. Otherwise, you get ads.
So who's doing the coverage again?
So this is Wizards themselves. Like,
interesting.
And they've always received some flack about it because SCG always is generally considered to do a better job.
Okay.
Especially filling time in between the segments. So, once again, it's just something for Wizards to try and improve on, because if they do want to bring Magic to Twitch in a big way, as it seems that they do, because they're no longer streaming on YouTube for the Pro Tours.
It does seem like an ideal venue for it.
But
in a lot of ways.
If I tune into the Pro Tour going, oh, there's like 20,000 people watching the Magic channel, I wonder what's up. Oh yeah, it's the Pro Tour, and I see a timer, I'm immediately doing something else.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
it's hard enough to get me to watch coverage as it is.
Yeah, and I'll just go back a couple of days later and watch it on YouTube where I can skip through all the boring parts.
That's why we all got, what do you call it, boxes to begin with. And
yeah, exactly.
I can't think of the name.
TiVos and stuff?
TiVos, yeah.
So you can fast forward through the commercials?
Uh-huh.
I thought you were going to say VCRs, and I was going to say, boy, wow.
Well, that was a thing in my youth.
Yeah, because like SCG Live and even the Channel Fireball streams, they have segments. Channel Fireball, they had LSV and Gabby or his other commentators doing the fact or fiction. And that was interesting.
Fact
or
or
funny,
fiction.
Or both.
That's the name of the thing that I couldn't remember in that thing that we totally haven't done yet.
Yes. And then...
Which you'll understand in, about 25 minutes.
Yeah. So, there's obviously different ways that you can work around it other than just having dead air. So it's definitely something for them to consider if they want to keep their viewership going.
That's for sure.
And... I really don't care, or I really don't mind sitting through a commercial if it's a good commercial. Like, if they want to pimp their latest products, but do it by having someone actually playing the products or whatever, that would be fine by me too, Deck techs are basically commercials for buying booster packs, right? So, and that's fine, because it's interesting, but...
or at least it's something.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's more or less interesting depending on who's doing it.
My least favorite is how, they always have the dramatic graphic with the short sound clip, and it's about 10 seconds. Have you ever seen those, like, when they're transitioning or when they're returning from a commercial or something like that? It has the, the newest set is Amonkhet, so it has the Amonkhet on it. It has a picture of it. Exactly.
Yeah.
By about the 5th time I've heard that, boy, am I ready to change the channel.
Yeah.
I get you.
Because it's just too short of a loop.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Like, when I actually do watch TV, which is not very often, basically when I'm visiting family, and we see a cable channel that shows the same commercial twice in a row, it bugs me. Even if it's a commercial I like.
Right.
And I
You're
love
I will sit through the first one as penance for watching this terrible TV show that I'm watching, but the second one's maybe a bit much.
And some of them, I actually like advertisement. Like, I like fun ads. I remember the first ad I saw on YouTube that was exactly as long as the you can skip this ad in 10 seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought, that's slick.
Yeah.
And now they're all doing it because of course they are.
Because of course you're going to skip the ad.
Right. But to have 2 of a commercial that I like in a row even is, come on guys, really?
Yeah, put some effort into it at least.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it for news. I mean... there's like idle speculations about next sets and stuff like that, but we don't really care about spoilers that haven't been officially released, so we're not going to worry about it.
Go there.
If you want to know more, check out Reddit probably.
Yeah, I love official Wizard spoilers because it's like
they do go
a well-crafted narrative.
Yeah,
but some guy just finding a random card somewhere and posting it to the internet
or
interests me less.
Googling and randomly finding out domains that have been registered.
Okay, yeah, that's just, I mean, I get it, but...
Why?
Let's talk about that a little bit. So, there are data miners who go and find what trademarks has Wizard of the Coast
registered for, and when did they do it, and what else did they register around the same time,
and well, the science of it intrigues me, like the social science. at the same time, I'm like, I don't really care. I'm enjoying Amonkhet right now. I couldn't care less what the next set is going to be.
Or the set after that even.
Yeah.
Or the fall set or whatever. Like, I'm with you. I don't think that far ahead, and if I do, I'm not able to sustain the correct level of excitement.
Yeah.
And since that's part of the enjoyment for me,
Yeah.
I'm going to, it's like, I don't go looking for the Christmas presents the week before Christmas because I like the pleasant surprise when I open my presents up at Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
Yep.
So, why would I go out of my way?
But I guess that's all we really have to say about that.
Pretty much. Obviously, if you're interested in finding more, you can find it.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we go on to what we've been up to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what have we been up to?
So, did you guys do Friday night magic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, let's
Totally
start with
did.
that, I guess. I did not.
Oh, right. Well, actually, I did a blog article on the blog that is finally up and running. So all of our listeners who enjoyed this podcast should go and check it out, and the link will be in the show description.
Mm-hmm.
I post my picks and like my pick order and a breakdown of the rounds and the whole bit. So go check that out.
And I know I drafted, and I know I played 4 games.
Oh, yeah.
3 games.
3 games, yeah.
And
it was with a fun group of people.
I really enjoyed playing with people. And
What
I
did
have
you
no idea what I drafted. I played you.
Did you?
Yes, and I didn't play.
Well, I was playing green-blue, so what were you playing?
It wasn't blue. I don't remember.
Was it red-white?
No.
Was it black-green? Was it black-red? Was it
No.
blue-black?
I don't remember. I honestly don't. I've been doing so
Was it
much of it.
black?
It's all messed in my
It's all
brain.
a blur.
But you had a good time?
I believe so. I don't have any lingering grumbly feelings about it, so I'm guessing I had fun.
I do know that I went 2-1 and you went 1-2 again.
That's right.
Because we came up against each other again, and I,
In the
I
finals?
have a streak of luck against you.
That's right. I had a deck. I don't even remember what the deck was, and it was a pretty good deck, but I was having a lot of deck giving me land and spells at the same time kind of deals. But I don't remember what it was. So, yeah, my deck's probably sitting around somewhere. So,
You should start taking pictures of your decks so you'll
I'll remember? Yeah, I have a terrible memory, especially when I sit during the week because I work from home. So whenever I'm not doing something, I am mock drafting online. So I'm doing, 30, 40, 50 drafts a week, and I don't remember what I do.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So then...
But I do remember the next thing.
So Saturday, we had our league kickoff.
Yeah, we did.
So
that was a lot
The
of fun.
opening tournament, 4 rounds. There were like 18, 20 people there, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
We used
18, I think, yeah.
Yeah, we used the pre-release packs, so we still got our promos, which are playable in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And we got our extra dice. And had a lot of fun, I think. It was, the weather was great.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't too hot.
Yeah,
Also,
that was the best part.
Up on the blog and the YouTube channel is a breakdown of my sealed pool. So
You're so
go
good.
check
I haven't
that out.
done that yet. Neither
Yeah.
has Laura. That's
We'll be
tomorrow.
doing ours shortly.
Later in the week,
Yeah.
Yep.
So
So, how did it go, Steph?
Uh,
That good, huh?
I went.
Oh, yeah, I know how it went.
0-4.
I played against you.
I was having serious issues. First, misidentifying the best deck in my pool, which I will admit now. I just really wanted to play with Samut, the mythic, the red-green mythic that taps
Is bonkers.
or has a white activate
Yes.
ability, who's very good, but was not facilitating the best deck in my pool. So I've moved in a different direction, and I went 2-2 at the first week. So that's a dramatic improvement.
Yeah. Yep. So, how are you feeling about your deck now? Have you done any trading yet?
I did my trades for the first trimester, and I feel pretty good about getting a third bonkers bomb rare into my deck. So I played against somebody at the week 1, and they said, "Huh, you're playing a Tams deck." I'm
Yes,
like, "Oh,
blue-white flyers.
yeah, I guess so."
it's true.
Blue-white flyers with apparently lots of counterspells.
I'm a little envious. I'm not gonna lie.
It does look pretty sweet.
I did not end up there. I was hoping, but nope.
And actually, I played one round that I didn't count, so I guess technically this week I'm 3-2 if you count all 5 rounds. So that's an even better average, I guess. But
so you're happy with the direction you're going in?
I'm happy with the direction. Yes, I think I'll be able to trade into an even better deck too, because a lot of people seem to open the same blue rares, and people who aren't necessarily playing blue flyers. So I may be able to trade some red removal, which my pool has a little of, for some more good threats.
Yeah, or the Planeswalker you opened.
Yeah, so you know what? I'm going to hold on to that for week 1 article. I opened a Planeswalker. Find out which one if you read the blog next week.
That's right.
I see.
So I think one of the interesting things about League is the fact that as a league, the whole point is that you build your deck towards a better deck. And I think that one of the interesting strategies is just deciding which deck you want to build, like which direction you want to go in. I know in a couple of my leagues, my starting deck was in 2 colors, and I knew I wanted to build 2 more colors because I figured it would be a stronger deck. I just needed like 5 more cards for it, which is pretty quick to get in League. So I think it's a very interesting part of the strategy, just figuring out which deck will be best, but also which deck you should be playing at the moment.
Yeah. And they're not necessarily the same thing, which is strange. But it gives you a real feel of a constructed format with limited card pools, because your card pool is limited to what you open plus what you can trade for. But it's almost, I mean, if you're not spending money on, say, a standard deck, then that's kind of how standard is supposed to work too.
Yeah.
Because your buddy has a mythic that you need for your deck, maybe you can trade him for it, you know?
Right.
It's kind of the way that Magic was originally
As a trading card.
intended to be.
Kind of, yeah.
But in a mini meta.
Yeah, and it's only 6 weeks, and it gives you you have an end date, so you know when you're going for.
And it also helps you to really discover a format to completion. Like, you will see what the good decks are, and you will see lots of them.
I remember I think it was Shadows over Innistrad League, the entire top 8 was one of 2 decks. Either you were in green-white humans, or you were in black-red vampires.
Yep.
Those were the only 2 decks of the top 8, except for one outlier who was playing Bant. So, green, white, blue.
Yeah, so...
And the blue, I think, was a splash. So
it's already still green-white.
Basically. So, in those, it was very clear which deck you should be in.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I don't think it'll be so cut and dry in Amonkhet, because, like, there are a lot of strong decks.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah. So what about you, Tams?
It was an interesting
So are
opening
you
weekend.
Playing Blue-Black Control?
I am not playing Blue-Black Control. I am nowhere in the neighborhood of... No, my pool's a jerk, man. So, Saturday, I sat down and opened all of my packs and stacked them all up. And it took but a glimpse to know where I was going. My deck built itself. I have some really strong green cards. I have Scaled Behemoth, which is
the hexproof one.
Yeah, which is really great.
Oh yeah.
And I have a Sheffet Monitor and some decent stuff. But then I have 2 Haze of Pollens, 2 Hapatra's Mark.
Are you not running the green fog deck?
No. So the green.
But this works so well with green fogs.
No.
She's holding up a pressure for the second stand.
Which we'll get to in just a second.
Yeah.
So then I looked at my blue because I'm like, oh, blue.
Yeah.
And I have an Aven Wind Guide, which I was like, oh my gosh, the blue-white, I love it. I have a Zenith Seeker, which I'm not particularly impressed with.
Yeah, I haven't been that impressed with it either.
I don't even think I know what it does.
It's 4 mana 2/2, and if you cycle or discard, you can give it another creature flying. The problem is that if you're playing blue, you're probably playing a bunch of flyers.
Yeah. I mean, maybe in blue-green.
Only in blue-green, yeah.
I also got a River Serpent.
And then you're not cycling.
Yeah.
Scribe of Mindful, and that's it for creatures. But I got double Lay Claim. And I was like, oh, that makes me sad. So my blue was completely
Not enough,
not anywhere near where I needed to be. So then I took a look at my white, and there's an Anointer Priest, a Gustwalker, a Sacred Cat.
So mediocre?
And then a Sparring Mummy, which is fine, and double Approach of the Second Sun. One
Boom.
in foil.
So you're playing mono white, Approach to the Second Sun, like Step and Standard?
No.
Oh.
So I set my white aside. I'm like, okay, Black Red, it's up to you now.
You're gonna carry us.
So I start looking through, and I opened a Hazaret, the Red God,
Sure.
which seemed pretty good.
Yeah.
That does seem pretty good.
But the first thing I noticed was, so my removal goes a little something like Magma Spray, Double Splendid Agony.
Ooh.
So Double Splendid Agony. I know, Deem Worthy.
Yeah.
Never to Return.
Dang.
Cut to Ribbons.
Like, these are all premium, not just mediocre, but, like, really good.
At least 2 of those are rares.
Double Cartouche with a Trial of Ambition. So I'm getting to use my trial twice.
I remember you did that to me, you jerk.
Yep. Then I have a Wander in Death, a Wasteland Scorpion, a Festering Mummy, and double Pursue Glory.
So basically just value?
Yeah. So then, as far as
Pursue Glory's not great.
Black, red,
but-
no,
value punches.
I didn't run the Pursue Glory in the opening the opening tournament. Mm-hmm. I chose just to stick with straight up removal. So as far as other creatures other than Hazaret, I have had a Nefcrop Entangler, which is a 2/1 with Trample. It's fine.
It's actually, yeah, a lot of people are saying it's quite good in draft.
Yep. Curse of Minotaur, which is
Fine.
The Grim Strider, which when I'm trying to dump my hand anyway, is so good. A Blighted Bat, which is better than I was expecting it to be.
You know what I discovered about it?
What's that?
It looks not great, right?
Yep.
It's a 2/1 for 3 flyer, which is
Sometimes
fine. And then it's a 2/1 flyer with haste for 4, which is okay. But having that flexibility of either giving it haste or not, like, it's almost 2 different cards there. Like, I wouldn't play a 2/1 flyer with haste for 4, but I would play a 2/1 flyer for 3, and then having the option makes it much better.
It won me a game. It won me a match last night. My opponent and myself were both at 2, with me with 1 creature on the field, and he had a huge board that he had swung with. And we looked at each other, and I'm like, yup, I guess that. And I'm like, wait a minute. And I look at my hand, and I have Wander in Death.
Nice.
And I'm like, wait a minute. And I go scrambling through my graveyard. I'm like, haha!
And 7 mana, I hope?
I have Yeah, I did have 7 mana. I dropped the Wander in Death, I pulled back my bat, and I gave it haste and swung it in for 2. So that was kind of cool. So the rest of the deck is double Horror of the Broken Lands, which is great because it cycles. I have...
it also beats face pretty effectively.
a Desert Ceradon, which also cycles for 1 red. An Emberhorn Minotaur...
So I hear you saying I'm playing black, red, beat your face in.
Yeah, and I also got an on color, the
Canyon Slow.
Yes, which is the black red.
Cycling.
Yeah, so it was a really gross deck. It was capable of doing better than it did. I went 2 and 2. One of the other matches was just back and forth and back and forth. Mm-hmm. It could have been either of us. And the other match, my deck just went, I'm sorry, I'm tired. You don't need spells and lands together. You're crazy.
It's like your whole deck exerted itself the match previous.
Yeah, that's
had
it
to
exactly.
take a nap.
That's it exactly. So that was rough, but it was still really, really fun. And then I came in last night, and my deck just decided, no, I don't want to play at all. And I went 1 and 3.
Oh, no.
Which was frustrating, but it happens.
Mm-hmm.
But then I got to do the fun part of the evening, which is open my pack for the week.
Mm-hmm.
After picking Steps pack for him and having him do
Planeswalker.
okay, I opened Painful Lesson, which could help. because I might want to draw. Who knows? I don't know. But I also drew Insult to Injury.
Ugh.
You know, I lost a game from 17 to an insult and injury.
Yep.
My opponent took me from 17 to -2 when I had a bunch of blockers with insult and injury.
Yeah.
Insult to injury.
It's pretty good. I got a Soul Stinger. I got to Stir the Sand.
That's
Yeah.
first pick for me.
In my other pack...
Well, not in an insult and injury pack. But
Yeah, in my other pack, I opened the Demon of Ifnir.
Yes.
Archfiend? Yeah.
Archfiend, yes. And I also opened, which has no relevance to my deck at all, a Loyal Retainers, which is the Invocation.
That's pretty sweet.
It's very pretty.
I'm going to take a picture of that.
So what I'm going to wind up doing is I'm kind of looking to transition into a more cycly deck.
Mm-hmm.
The Archfiend and the God work really, really well together because you can take your lands, pay 3 mana, ditch your land, do 2 damage.
And put a -1. Oh my god.
And put a -1 counter on everybody's creatures.
Ugh.
So, I mean, in a perfect world, I'd like a second Ifnir, just, But I'm not going to be greedy. I'm going to, see... I haven't traded this week, so if anybody has black-red cycling stuff they're looking to trade, I do have some decent... I have an Honored Crop Captain that I just got. I've got some pretty decent...
Pimping yourself out on the
stuff.
podcast.
Absolutely. I am not good at trading because I hate going up and asking people, hey, do you want to trade? I don't know why, because I'm always afraid people are going to say, go away.
Well, I'm taking a picture of this invocation and looking at it on camera. It really does look 3-dimensional. Like, I'm moving the camera around it. It looks like there's 3-dimensionality to the art.
It's pretty cool.
It's, yeah.
Quite pretty.
They're still not my
problematic.
favorite things, but it does have a certain quality that I appreciate.
I find it frustrating that it's a quote-unquote $35 card, and it's probably either going to sit in our collection or maybe we'll, trade it to...
One of the sites.
One of the online sites for singles.
Because nobody wants them.
Nobody really wants them, yeah.
I understand that, but it's no worse than not having it, No,
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
We got something interesting.
Yeah.
But
now, if it wasn't in Tomb, I'd be over the moon.
Now, we have 2 of these now, so we could go to Loading Ready Runs, the one that they use to buy their stuff, and Card Kingdom, and we could get buttons.
It's true. I think last I heard, although they're probably out by now, I think we're just dead here button was back. So
I would like that. So yeah, I always love Sealed. It's so much fun, and I definitely made the best deck. I mean, there was no... I made a white-blue deck because I always make a second deck.
Sure.
And it was just terrible. There was barely enough creatures, and yeah, just not good. So I never ran it, but I'm looking forward to seeing where we go from here. So, yeah. That's all I have to say to League.
Okay. So, since you asked, my League, I opened, interestingly, what was it? One of my colors was just trash. I think it was red. And
Boo.
As I was opening, I noticed that my green seemed to be quite good.
Okay.
So by the end of it, I had opened 19 green cards, of which 18 were above average and better.
Nice.
How many green cartouches do you have?
I have 2.
Okay.
That I opened in my opening packs.
That is acceptable.
No trading required. So I knew I was going to be green.
Yeah.
Plus green's very good in this format. Plus some of the cards. Like I opened 2 of the 6 mana, embalms for 4 Trampler for 6/6. I opened 2 of them. One's the Honored Hydra.
The Hydra, yeah.
I have a Shabbat Monitor. I have my own Hexproof 6 mana, 6/7. He's a bomb, by the way.
He's annoying.
If you put the green cartouche on him, bite their creature, and then put the black cartouche on him and give him lifelink, sorry, Tams.
You mean like you did to me yesterday?
Sorry, Tams.
That was miserable.
I mean, it's very good. Actually, I put the black cartouche on it first, so I gained the life from the fight, and then attacked you and gained more life.
Yeah, there's a case to be made for Shroud over Hexproof.
No,
Just
it's not.
saying.
That's fine. So anyway, so I ended up pairing it with black, as you might have guessed. Just because in black I have more removal, basically.
Okay.
Like, I don't really need the creatures. I'm actually only running 17 of my 18 playable green cards just because I have too much beef.
Okay,
I have too many good things at 6.
Yeah.
Because,
Curve is absolutely a consideration, even in a format with cycling.
Yeah, so I'm running 17 lands. I have 2 of the Naga Vitalists. I have the Shipbat Monitor. So, generally speaking, I get up to 6 mana, which is exactly where I want to be. I basically have a bunch of 3s, a couple 4s, a few 5s. The 5/5 for 5 is really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just dump down my hand at 6, and my opponent can never win, basically, because value. So it went pretty well. At the opening tournament, I also only went 2-2, but I definitely felt that the deck was able to perform better. Just in one of the games before I got the mana levels correct, or the color levels, I suppose, correct. So I am predominantly green, so I took out a swamp. I added in a forest to make sure I got green on turn 2. One of the games, just basically I couldn't do anything because all of my hand was green and I didn't draw any. So, things like that. So I definitely felt it was better than it went. So I made a couple of minor changes, but generally left it the same. And then yesterday I ended up going 4-0. So that worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I guess so.
There are still definitely some things I'd like to add. I have a Hazoret. That's the I have a Hapatra, the black-green legendary creature where if you put counters on stuff you get snakes. I actually didn't get to play her yesterday because I didn't see her in any of my games. But,
how much -1 counter stuff do you
have
otherwise?
That's the thing. I don't have much.
Yeah.
I have a few. I have one of the green creatures that puts counters. I have the black cartouche. I have the one of the quarry haulers, the camel that puts or takes off a -1/-1 counter on, or a counter on something. Yeah. So I would kill for some Splendid Agonies or something like that. But I also have enough removal that it's kind of a lower priority, especially because she's my only actual synergy card for that.
Sure, yeah.
So, and like I said, I didn't even see her yesterday. I'm not going to count on drawing her to get my Death Touchy snakes.
Sure.
Generally speaking, I'm just going to kill you with Trample. So...
yeah, that seems fine.
Yeah. So, the deck's pretty strong. Like I said, definitely some tweaks just based on what I open. I'm not, super looking for anything, but obviously there's always improvements that can be made. And then yesterday, I also got Tams to pick up my expansion pack for the week. And I also opened a Planeswalker. So, thanks for that, Tams.
And
go ahead.
A fourth person in the shop had me pick his stuff, and he drew some pretty sweet stuff too. So
yeah, he got.
Just saying, I think I've dumped all my luck now, though. I
don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So
it also, seemed like a pretty good box.
It was a really good box.
Yeah. So yeah, after opening up the pack, I definitely have a few more things I can add. I opened up another Quarry Hauler, which is good. I do have the what's the name of it? The artifact that essentially immobilizes one of your opponent's creatures.
Oh, the Edifice of Authority.
The Edifice of Authority, which is great if you're playing against anything. But
like a god.
But also gods, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's miserable.
I did do that to your Hazoret, didn't I, Sam?
Yes, and I boarded in. I do have sideboard the X destroy artifact spell, which you didn't draw your thing. I didn't draw that, so whatever.
But it is a colorless way to deal with absolutely anything.
Yes.
So
except for the hexproof guy.
Fair enough.
So, anyways, yeah, I got another Quarry Hauler, which is I think going to be good enough for my deck that I want to swap out a different, 4-drop or whatever for it. So. A couple of changes overall. I'm planning on continuing to build into the black-green deck. I haven't decided which direction I want to go in black-green. Because, again, I'm predominantly green. I don't have too many counter synergies, but I could probably find some if I wanted to. Or I could just stay more on the rampy side of things, get a couple more Naga Vitalists or whatever, and just try and get up to 6 mana really quickly. Also, the world's most annoying thing, and yes, I'm looking at you, a couple of my opponents from yesterday, why do you got a Magma Spray my Naga Vitalist on turn 2?
Because I'm smart.
Smart thing to do, yeah, I was going to say.
No!
Because I know your tricky tricks now because I've played some different decks now.
Yeah, that is the thing about playing blue-white is that I've got Pacifism and make it an O2. And that doesn't affect...
or you could bounce back to my hand.
Yeah.
Please bounce that one back to my hand and not one of my 6-drops. That would be great.
Right?
Yeah.
There's not a lot for me to do against utility creatures. other than counter them.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to counter a turn 2 play.
Especially if you're on the draw.
Right?
Yeah.
So there is that frustration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But overall, it's fun. Everybody's having fun.
So much fun.
Yeah.
Always fun.
Yeah.
I love League.
We have implemented a couple of changes specifically with trading. We have broken it up into 3 sections instead of the usual 2. So we're just going to have to see how that goes. I think it's going to be a good change.
I think so too.
Because you get fewer points. That's how we do it. We trade on a point system. But you get fewer points for each section, but you get more sections. So it's kind of like, oh, I have to wait another 3 weeks before I can do any more trading. Versus what it is now. Oh, I have to wait until next week.
Yeah. And I may already have my trades lined up. Who knows?
So,
but that's I have been 2 weeks in with no points left, lined up trades for the next section, like the second half, and then had somebody, the person I was supposed to trade with, drop and not trade with me, which was frustrating. But this will keep that hopefully from happening.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And we're also implementing the catch-up week, where I think week 4 or week 5, we just come in, and if you are already caught up with your games, you just show up and you get to mess around with your deck, try out different things. Mostly you're there to get your pack for the week. And if you are behind, you get to show up and get caught up, so you don't feel so stressed out about not being all caught up with your matches and feeling like you can't get into the top 8 and then dropping.
Yeah. It's exciting.
We also have a second bracket, a consolation bracket that we've just implemented.
Which is so good.
Not only is there a top 8, but there's a 9th to 16th that will play off for some consolation prizes.
Yeah, prizes.
So that seems pretty sweet because it's sort of like, oh, I didn't make it in the top 8 by, a hair. Oh, well, I guess I'll come and play anyway, because maybe I'll win something else. And
Absolutely.
We'll just play more Magic. Mm-hmm. That's why I love League. It's about playing more Magic.
Yeah, and that's why during the makeup week, we still expect to see the regulars showing up, even if they're already caught up, because you just get to play 4 more matches, and that's the whole point of playing in the league in the first place.
Yep.
And it's very helpful for those people who, I've been one of those in the past.
Yeah, you've been 12 matches behind and just couldn't
make it up. I was sick and there was nothing I could do. I've had the unfortunate luck for a lot of the last 3 or 4 leagues of opening my pool and having like a masterpiece or something really amazing, worth a lot of money, like monetary value, and then a really a pool that has a lot of not usable spells, very few creatures, and nothing in any one color. And I'm not a great trader, so it's been very difficult to build decent decks, and it's been miserable. So I made sure to come to the meeting that we had to try to come up with ideas to change things.
The sole representative of the not top 8 people.
Yes, I was, and I'm proud to say I was there. And I love the changes. It's great.
Yeah.
I don't anticipate missing a week, but it's nice to know that if you do, you can make them up. Or, you've got
especially at this time of year. Like, this league and the next league are taking place during the summer. A lot of people are going to be out of town for at least a week.
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah, I'm really quite pleased with how it's worked out.
Mm-hmm. So, was there something else we wanted to talk about?
We were going to talk a little bit about building standard decks on a budget.
Oh, I don't know anything about that.
No, not at all.
I've never built a janky standard deck because I couldn't afford a top tier one.
So I'll start with a story here.
Okay.
When I first started playing Magic.
Boy, story time.
Yay! So when I first started playing Magic, it was back when it was just before Dragons switched on over to Origins, and I showed up. I said, I don't know what I'm doing. Tell me what I should do. Sean said, here, the owner of our Magic shop, he said, here's one of the pre-constructed decks, one of the dragon ones. It was red-green. It was terrible. It was fine, but there's no way it's going to beat...
It's not competitive.
It's not going to beat Abzan Net Deck, which is what, 60% of our store was playing.
That was a
very good deck.
Time.
But I showed up. I still had fun. I still actually won a match. I didn't lose everything. And then I had enough fun that I said, I'll probably come back and maybe I just won't play this deck. So what did I do? I went online, I did a bit of research, I discovered that Blue-White Heroic at the time was a deck that was played. It was like a 1.5 type of tier. It showed up and did some really good results at tournaments every once in a while.
If it's not expected, if it's not, if people don't gear their sideboards toward
and sometimes
it was...
even if they do, if you got the right draw with that deck, you can just win by turn 4. So I built the deck for less than $20 because it was made up mostly of commons and uncommons.
I love decks like that.
And so like Hero of Iroas, I think, was like the only rare in the entire deck.
And he was a chase.
He was like $2. Yeah, so I built the whole deck for $20. I substituted in a couple of cards I couldn't find specifically. I think the Laguna Band Elder was like impossible to find. So I just threw in a couple of white creatures I had from drafting.
Sure.
At that point it was, Origins, so I had a couple of dragons, like Outlast creatures or something like that. Just threw in a couple of random low drops. And I did pretty well. Like, I played that deck for maybe 4 months or something like that. And it was quick to build. It was kind of simple to play. I mean, there were certainly choices, but it wasn't, like, super, super thinky. Basically, can I win this turn? Yes. How? Great. Do it. That sort of thing. And I really appreciated the chance to play at least a semi-competitive deck for very cheap. And that I could play for a very long time. Especially just getting into the format, not knowing what I like to play, not knowing which deck I would want to play on a more long-term basis, and also not sure I wanted to spend the money on a new hobby.
Yeah, that's a big barrier to entry for a lot of people. Isn't Magic that expensive game that people go bankrupt playing? And I have to say, yes, that does happen, but
there are ways you don't have to.
So, like, these days, a budget standard deck is anything from $50 or less, $75 or less, $100 or less. Those can all be considered budgets, and I'm using gigantic air quotes here because if I'm spending $100 on something that I'm going to play for like 4 weeks, I don't know that I would consider that to be a budget alternative.
Well, yeah, and looking at the top 8 list for the Pro Tour, the zombies would have been a budget deck beforehand. And now I'm looking at the $338 list, the
right, and I think the problem
$289 list.
I mean, and I don't know if this is something that like can be solved or anything, but like I said, in the blue-white heroic deck, the majority of it was made up of commons or uncommons. Whereas these days, most decks are made up of mostly rares and then mostly mythics.
And that's partially due to how they create the sets. Like, the commons are meant to be played in draft, and most of the rares are meant to be standard played or weird janky plays.
Allegedly, the reason that they're at rare and mythic is so that they don't break draft.
Yeah.
Right? The fact that it makes it more expensive for standard is presumably not something Wizard considers because, of course, they do not take into account officially the secondary market.
I didn't say expensive. The rares are the playables for constructed formats.
Well, not always so, because, again, the Blue-White Heroics, or even the Eldrazi deck.
The Blue-White Heroic is what I would have considered a rogue list at the time.
It did pretty well.
It did.
Or, the Blue-Red Eldrazi deck that came, and everybody was like, it's a deck full of draft trash. What is happening with this?
That was fun. That was fun to see.
Though for the last while, this has not been the case. It's been only a couple of decks that have been really competitive, even at the local game stores, and they're not cheap decks to be putting together.
Yeah. Now, before that, we saw Mardu Vehicles and Saheeli combo, there was a very healthy meta of like 4 or 5 different really good decks, and then rogue lists making appearances every now and then. And then it sort of tunneled down to these 2 decks, and they finally had to deal with it, right?
Yeah, so, I don't know, I think surely the Magic Online leagues have a little bit to do with this, because you're able to see so many results so quickly that you're like, oh, well, this deck went 5-0 in like a bunch of the Magic Online leagues. Obviously it's good, and then it's kind of no longer like a rogue list or anything like that. And then, of course, once it becomes popular, everybody's trying to buy the cards for it. And if they're rares or mythics and the supply is limited, especially so early into a new set, the price go up.
Yeah, I wonder what the price is on the new Perspective deck now. That actually, that's an interesting question. If Approach of the Second Sun is going to suddenly become a very expensive card.
I have 2 right now. We've got like 6 or 8 of them, But I think right now is the time if you're interested in getting into Standard.
Oh, absolutely.
Because
like right after
the field
the Pro Tour.
has opened up, and the thing is...
Just don't get mono black zombies.
Beyond what we've said, you can net deck, you can Google budget Standard decks, and there's so many resources out there for people now. But this is a great place for creative people to take a stab at things, because most Standard competitions, like you go to your local game store, it's a couple of dollars entry, so you don't have much to lose, and you can really brew something different or interesting. I love to look at cards that really shouldn't work at all and see if I can figure out how to do something kooky with them. So
no one in this room knows what you're talking about.
No, not at all.
No.
Never, ever.
So like trying to brew your own list is definitely one way to tackle playing Standard on a budget. There, like you said, there are a lot of resources available online if you want some inspiration. MTG Goldfish, they do a budget Magic series for all formats, but specifically Standard. They update it every new set, that sort of thing. So definitely a good resource. I also often check out tappedout.net, which usually has a bunch of new decks, and people are playing around with it, and they're looking for suggestions, and you can post your own lists, and they have forums and things like that. But I mean, another way that you can do it is to get a deck mostly. So, instead of running this particular mana base, because I don't happen to have the dual lands that go with it, instead I'm going to use the uncommon Gain Life lands from, the previous set, which are still in Standard, but are 15 cents, because they're an uncommon, and they're still tap lands, and they might not enter the battlefield tapped every once in a while, like what I'm thinking of, but it's almost the same. Or Evolving Wilds, or...
Yeah, I have played many a Standard deck with 3 or 4 Evolving Wilds in the main board, and sure, it doesn't feel great when you draw your Evolving Wilds on turn 10, but that's kind of what you gotta do if you want to play a list without spending money, because a lot of these decks, the big costs are the mana base.
Yeah, like at least 30%, at least 40% in a lot of decks.
And they all run different mana too, so it's not like you can just grab here's my 4 lands that'll go in whatever deck that I want to play.
Right, unless you want to say, I will literally only run blue-red.
Yeah. And
then you will just get the blue-red lands.
Yeah.
Or whatever, and only run those for however long you're willing to spend that much money for. Which is really boring.
Can be.
Or it's restricting.
It's very restricting, and it can end up being boring if there aren't drastically different decks that you can build. Like with blue-red specifically, you're probably looking at a control deck. That's just the way those colors work.
Or a burn deck.
Yeah. And that's not going to be an aggressive... I mean, you could try to push it toward red aggressive with counter spells.
Turn and burn?
But,
with aggressive creature?
But, yeah, you get the picture, right? The other thing that getting most of a deck can work toward is if you've got friends who draft a lot and draft differently than you, then maybe check their collections for the cards you need. That's what I did.
Yes.
It's good to have good friends who you can borrow cards from, or, I've seen half the people at F&M with trade binders, so you can often trade for what you need.
Yeah.
What I've found really neat too is, especially for people who say, only get to draft every couple of weeks or something, and they can't afford other product to fill out their stuff. A lot of times there are people at the shop who don't bother even keeping their commons sometimes.
Chaff.
Yeah. So I know a lot of times people have just said, does anybody need this stuff? So you might speak to your local gaming guy or girl, whoever's running the shop, and say, I'm on a strict budget. I'm just starting out. If anybody ever mentions and is going to throw them out, I'm happy to give them a home.
Right.
Because imagine people tend to be really excited about other people playing.
And a lot of times stores aren't necessarily interested in bulk commons. Because specifically in-person stores, they don't really sell that many of them. And the ones that they do sell, they usually already have plenty of.
Yeah.
So.
Or they'll know the key uncommons that they're going to sell, and everything else is just trash to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And, so that's certainly another way that you can do it. Or sometimes people will just leave it on the table when they leave, without even really mentioning it. And you can just say, hey, shop owner, somebody left their draft chaff here. Is it okay if I take it because I don't have the full set yet?
Yep.
Or something. And a lot of times that's just fine as well.
Yep.
Yeah, we often grab the draft trash that nobody wants because we like to fill out our binder to get.
And there's two of us trying to.
Yeah. So, I mean,
and we love to brew. So,
if anyone else is interested, we'll leave that for them. But oftentimes nobody is. So we're
cool.
kind of pack rats.
Oh gosh.
So another way to play Standard on a budget: play online. It's a lot cheaper.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have experience with Standard. Well,
yeah, generally speaking, it costs about 2/3 the amount.
Okay.
To build a deck online. Plus, with the way that the online trading is set up, you can then easily sell your deck back to someone, or at least
That's true.
At least the pricey cards if you want to change your decks.
Mm-hmm. The lands are still going to be the concern. Like I tried to put together a deck with what was the blue-black fetch? Polluted Deltas. And they were still
That's
expensive.
one of the most expensive ones, yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Online, but you're right. Everything else I've seen has been fairly cheap.
Yeah, so online's usually cheaper. Another possibility, one that I use, sometimes you might have a regular at your game store who really wants foils. If you're like me and you don't care whether it's a foil or not, and then you happen to open some, pretty good foils, a lot of times they're willing to give you a very good deal on trading because they want the foils, and if you don't care, then you can usually get whatever the card is non-foil plus some other things.
Yep.
That is also true.
That's a decent tech.
And what you and I have done in the past is if we're looking at a specific deck to build, we each, he's looking green-blue, I'm looking red-black. Then anything that comes up in white that is actually worth a decent amount of money, we will trade it into the store for credit so that we can buy singles that we need. And then later on in the format, if we want for our collection, if one comes up, we'll take it. But that's another option.
Yeah, that's the other good thing about having a steady, being able to draft, is if you trade early to the store, the stuff that is worth money, then you can probably trade back into it later if you really, really want it.
Yeah, that's true.
If there's something that you don't specifically want for a deck right now, it's probably worth trading at the start of a format.
If it's worth enough money to make it worth your while.
Yeah. Because the shop owner knows that somebody will probably want it and it'll move. Yeah. So, I guess that's it. Oh, but wait. No, there's more. There's one more thing that we need to do.
Yes.
Now I know where you're going with this.
Okay, are we ready? All right. So, Amonkhet Standard Showdown Booster. Everyone who was there 2 weeks in a row got one, but I'm going to say this was given to me for the most original deck list.
Sure. Are we doing a crack-a-pack?
Yes. Yes, we are. I can't really... Maybe I can.
Can you pop it?
Can you do this dramatically?
Oh, well done.
We may have to edit that out.
All right, dramatic reveal.
All right.
Right.
So, how do you know how they're organized?
No.
Okay. Okay. All right. We've got a rare.
Is it a junk rare?
It's from
Oh, is he going to make us guess the rare?
what's it called? The Oath of the Gatewatch.
Okay.
Okay.
It's I don't know how to do this. It's colorless.
Well, it's Oath of the Gatewatch, sure.
Okay, it's a land. Do we know a rare land from Oath of the Gatewatch?
Mirrorpool's mythic.
That's true.
Is it a dual land?
No.
It's been so long since we've got drafted.
So we've got Seagate's Wreckage.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was on the right track.
Tap for colorless, tap 2 and tap it to draw a card. Activate this ability only if you have no cards in hand.
I once ran a Bant ramp deck that had featured a couple of Eldrazi, like the Eldrazi Displacer, had this in it, and it won me a control mirror match. Because I was drawing 2 cards a turn every turn.
Fair enough. That seems reasonable.
Yep.
Alright, next up. Ooh. Okay, it's an X spell. It is also a rare. It's from Shadows of Innistrad.
Is it red?
No. It is blue.
Is it like one of the displacement wave type effects?
No, it's a what do you call it? Not gifts. Yeah, sort of not show and tell. I can't think of the name of the freaking card.
That you can.
Epiphany at the Drownyard. X and a blue. Reveal the top X plus 1 cards of your library and separate them into 2 piles. An opponent chooses one of the piles. Put that pile in your hand and the other in your graveyard.
And that would be why I don't remember that card.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fine.
It's fine. I never played it. I don't think I ever opened it, and blue wasn't what I wanted to be doing in that set.
Alright. Got a full art Amonkhet Forest.
Ooh.
And the last card in the pack. Ooh, a foil Blight Herder. Do we know what Blight Herder does?
Yeah, it's the one where you get some 1/1s, and then whenever you, the Eldrazi tokens, and then whenever you sack the token, something happens. I don't remember. I have a promo one of those.
Yeah, you may, when you cast it, you may put 2 cards from your opponent's own in exile into their graveyards. Why couldn't they just say process 2 cards? If you do, put 3 1/1s into play, and they have the tap or sack to gain mana.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty good card in draft.
So that was, I don't know, interesting enough.
Fine. I mean, you open like $1 worth of value, but
Yeah.
Hey, it was free.
it was free.
It was free, and it was, fun. So, back to the regular podcast.
Yeah.
So that's our show, folks. Thanks for joining us.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for listening.
And if you have any tips for how you play Standard on a budget,
Let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. Or if you want to get interested in, or if you are interested in starting a sealed league at your local game store, let us know how that goes.
Yeah.
Usually just talk to your shop owner.
Or if your league does things differently.
Yeah.
How do you like to do it?
We'd love to hear about it. All of the links of where to contact us are in the show notes, and go check out the new website, which is up, because there's plenty of interesting content and more to come.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening.
Bye.
Have a good night.